Up until a few weeks ago, I'd never even heard of the word that is the subject of today's Money Minute, and that's furlough or furloughing. But now furloughing seems to be everywhere, and I know it is affecting many of our users. So today, I'd like to answer some of the questions I've been asked about it. Firstly, although it might be a shock if you're furloughed, it's actually good news. You're being asked not to work, but your job is still open and you remain on the payroll of your employer. Whilst furloughed, you will continue to get paid a portion of your salary. Because you're still on the payroll, that means that when everything gets back to normal, you can return back to your job. When furloughed, you will receive 80% of your pay up to a maximum of £2,500 per month. Your company can claim this back from the government. By doing this, the government are both trying to support individuals and companies so that businesses don't have to make people redundant. The current government furloughing scheme is set to run until the end of May, but they could extend it. In the US, this sort of support isn't available and their unemployment rate is rocketing. You should receive a letter from your employer explaining furloughing and how it will work in your company. You won't be able to work, but your employer should try and keep in touch with you about what is going on in the business and your personal situation. I have been asked the question whether being furloughed makes it more likely that you will be made redundant if the situation gets worse. The answer is not necessarily. There is a whole process for redundancies which requires companies to look at who and why they're letting people go, and there is much more consultation required. Businesses need to look at who they need and don't need, not just in the short term, like in a furlough, but in the longer term. Another question I've been asked is, can you work for another company whilst being furloughed? Well, if you have multiple jobs, you can continue with those that are still operating. And as long as any work doesn't break your employment contract with the company that you're being furloughed by, then yes, it looks currently like you can take on extra work. The other thing I would encourage you to do whilst furloughed is to try and keep busy. Perhaps think about learning a new skill, do those tasks that you don't normally have time for, or look at your finances and create a new budget. Keeping busy and active will be important to your physical and mental health. Please subscribe to these Money Minutes and share them with your friends and family who may be going through tough times. I hope you're staying safe and on top of your money in these difficult times, which we will get through together.